Hi there, my name is Bryce, and welcome to my behind-the-scenes video on how Wild Shores came to be. Now, upon doing my first video, I realized just as I was hitting cut on it, I didn't actually mention that I was going to do a story episode, other than just the very original origins. So I'm starting this now, kind of transitioning from the origin of how I created the villagers and kind of how their world and their story came to be. So one common theme of Bionicle is mind control and very dangerous creatures that are, outmatching some sort of vulnerable population. I started out with featuring villagers on the main website as I was sort of building it, and I wanted to tell each of their very unique individual stories first, where I kind of saw the Generation 2 protectors weren't especially explained, so it was kind of hard to understand what the significance of them as characters would be in the story. So I really wanted to establish each one of these small villagers who's essentially a survivor of this natural disaster known as the erosion, are up against these very scary creatures that are nearby, and you should really try and care about them, get them, the odds are stacked against them, both, physically just being some little character, and then also kind of getting to know them better also creates a bit more of a bond to it. So each one of them belongs to like a unique little area that sort of reflects certain elements. Cena, for example, used to be an electrician before the erosion, and what that means is that she's very good at kind of coming up with little mechanical solutions, and as you'll see in one of the videos that I have on the website, she ends up making a battery out of fruit that she finds on the beach, which is pretty great. I ended up giving her later revised version some sort of caliper tool that just thought would be interesting, because portraying her as a very creative, but also calculated kind of character. Other characters include like fun play of both the use of weapons and tools and things like that in Bionicle, but also underscoring that with having flowers on the sort of jungle-themed character. And basically what all this comes down to, though, is having the size of these characters versus a creature that's, as the most friendly one, for example, very significant in size to them. Now, both of these are relatively smaller than the Generation 2 sets, and the reason for that, of course, is I essentially wanted to encourage more kids to be able to collect these. And speaking of collection, though, as part of what would happen with the original designs that I had for the villagers before I kind of gave them this hybrid of like a brick built and Technic build, is they just ended up having really short little arms and legs. And what came from that, though, is they'd be extremely small and lightweight, and they could fit on a little boat like this. So the original concept for the weapon would be that it'd actually be all these components of a boat. So one character would have a large shield, another character would have a little hatchet sort of piece, which ended up being the rudder for this boat. Now, this is essentially the character who had that, so you can see I've made the transition now. But the original idea, though, is that if you combined all the different villagers together, you could give them a little rescue raft where one of them could sort of drive offshore and see if they can get any rescue from where they are. So the idea of these villagers also being small is their little safety platform would essentially consist of a small sandbar that would just be surrounded by water. So any kind of creature that would be also stranded after this erosion would have no choice but to be sort of fighting for territory and everything, and that's where the original conflict comes from. So that's why I ended up creating these villagers to be even smaller than they are presented now, just to sort of emphasize vulnerability and also allow them to fit on these little boats once you're able to build all of them up. And so that wraps up my video on the sort of the story of the villagers and the early development for the Wild Shores story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.